Welcome to Royal Secrets. King Charles and William give a salute as Prince Harry approaches the cenotaph and looks down. Prior to Her Majesty's funeral on Monday, members of the royal family followed the Queen's casket from Buckingham Palace to Westminster Hall for the lying in state. While the Queen's procession moves through the streets of central London, Prince Harry and Prince Andrew have chosen not to salute the London War Memorial. The Duke of Sussex chose to lower his head rather than raise his hands in respect as he passed the cenotaph, while the Duke of York just averted his eyes to look at the memorial. The cenotaph, whose name translates as empty grave, honors the glorious dead and represents the extraordinary losses incurred during the First World War. Along with the Princess Royal, the Duke of York, and the Earl of Wessex, King Charles III led the royal family in a procession behind the late Queen Elizabeth II. The late monarch's son-in-law Vice Admiral Sir Tim Lawrence, the Queen's cousin the Duke of Gloucester, and the Queen's nephew the Earl of Snowdown were seated behind the group, which also included the Queen's grandsons Peter Phillips, the Duke of Sussex, and the Prince of Wales. The George gun carriage, which also carried King George VI's coffin from Sandringham Church to Wolferton Station in February 1952 and was used for the Queen Mother's funeral in 2002, was used to transport the body of the Queen. The Queen was familiar with places like Horse Guards Parade, the Cenotaph, and Downing Street as she traveled 38 minutes from the palace to the historic Westminster Hall, where King Charles I was tried. Every year, especially during the National Service of Remembrance on Remembrance Sunday, the cenotaph, which Prince Andrew and Prince Harry both declined to salute during the parade, has taken center stage. The cenotaph does not have any names engraved on it since it was intended for the millions of Britons who lost loved ones in the First World War and subsequent wars, to give the memorial their own personal meaning. The cenotaph was initially constructed as a temporary wooden structure to be erected in conjunction with the Peace Day celebrations in July 1919, at the request of the country's then Prime Leader David Lloyd George. However, the building was so well-liked that after the first cenotaph was taken down at the beginning of 1920, a permanent replica was commissioned. On November 11, 1920, Armistice Day, the new Portland stone memorial was finished, placed, and prepared for King George VI's unveiling. The Queen is currently being effectively turned over to the country for her laying in state over 4 days prior to the royal funeral on Monday, accompanied by her family. Because of their special connection to the Queen, soldiers who were flown back from Iraq to participate in the procession are the bearer party that will carry the Queen's coffin into Westminster Hall and offer an escort. As they stand by the princes at the Queen's lying in state, Kate and Meghan experience emotional difficulty. The Fab Four have been estranged since Meghan and Harry relocated to the US, but their reunion in mourning over the passing of the Queen was unexpected. At Westminster Hall, Meghan Markle and Kate, the Princess of Wales, were spotted together. The royal family is accompanying the Queen's coffin as it arrives at the hall for a brief service. Although William and Harry's relationships have apparently been strained, the passing of their grandmother seems to have improved things. Throughout the service, Kate shows signs of sadness, but Meghan maintains her composure. Since Meghan and Harry moved to the US, the two have not spoken to one another. Before the Duke and Duchess of Sussex's shocking departure from the royal family, the two couples were collectively referred to as the Fab Four. Their relationship seemed to be in even worse shape when Harry and Meghan arrived back in the UK on September 3. Between the spouses, trust was a significant issue, according to royal insiders. The Sussexes were staying at Frogmore Cottage, which is only a 15-minute walk from the home of Kate and William, but there were no preparations for them to visit them. The Queen's passing last week, however, seems to have brought William and Harry back together in their sorrow.